Wake-up call number one starts with the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Rights that have to do with life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. We feel that we have the right to do that. You feel the right to be able to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, don't you? We have the Bill of Rights. So we have all these things that are telling us what we can do and what we have freedom to do. But by the same token, some people don't agree for good reason. They're biased, or they have different viewpoints, or they maybe understand things better than most, or perhaps their culture is different. So we have this potential conflict, undercurrent coming from the people within the country that says that we don't agree. We don't agree with many of the freedoms and the rights that are given to us. Some examples of that. Right to bear arms is a right out of the Constitution. The right to free speech. We should be able to say anything we want to say. And the right to have a free press, a press that's critical of the government and open and honest and transparent and showing all sides to an argument, so we the people can read it and understand what's going on and make our own minds up. That's what this is all about. The Constitution is saying we have freedoms to learn and to talk and to read and to discuss and make our own minds up. We have a right to assemble. We don't like something, we can get all of our friends and neighbors together and we can get in a big crowd and hold signs up and protest. We have a right to do that right out of the Constitution. But wait a minute. There are people that say, hey, that right to bear arms is killing people. That's what they're saying. Whether it's right or wrong is another issue. There are a lot of people in this country who think assault weapons should be banned. There's a lot of people who think they should not be banned. So we have a conflict. We have a conflict. Free speech. And there are some people that say, hey, you recall, it started with fire in a theater. You remember that. You can't say fire in a theater because there'd be a stampede and people would die. That's not good. So free speech is restricted. Well, some people today say, hey, when you say offending language to certain groups, whether they be racial groups or sexual orientation groups or whatever, even nationalities, and you hurt them, that you shouldn't be able to say those things. So they want more restrictions on the Constitution. In this case, restrictions on what we can say. Some of us believe that, some of us don't. I think we all agree that it's not good to say offending things to people that are hurt. We all know that. I know years ago when we said something like that, whoever said it got beat up. All right, so we all know it's wrong. The only question is what do we do about it? And if you notice in the middle there's district and federal court systems. That's what they're there for. They take issues like, okay, fake news. You have a newspaper that's only printing one side of a story, and that's not right. You should be a free press, and you could take that to court and ask the court, are they being free press? Are they really free press, or are they being something different? The Capitol fences and the troops around the Capitol, it's another issue that the courts could decide. This life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, that's a big category. And yet we have a death penalty. We kill people that kill people. And people say, well, wait a minute. When you kill somebody, you're taking away their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And that's a true statement. So we take it to the courts, and the courts decide just how much we can do and who can do it. Excessive incarceration, especially in the African American communities. They say, hey, that's taken away their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And we turn to the courts. Medical castration for those that serial killers or somebody that's mentally impaired and can't control himself. We say, hey, we can't do that. It takes away your life, liberty. Well, the courts will decide that. Ban drugs, cocaine, heroin, marijuana. Takes away our happiness, some would say. Well, let the court decide. A right to abort a fetus. Some people think that's a good thing. Some people think that's a bad thing. We let the courts decide in Roe v. Wade. The court said that we determined that that does not take away the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness of the fetus. This was back in the 70s. People today are arguing that case. In fact, the Supreme Court's considering those kinds of issues as we speak. But the bottom line is we shouldn't be yelling and screaming at one another, and we shouldn't be throwing rocks and burning one another's houses down or storefronts down or anything else. That's why we have a court system. We need to respect it. We respect our Constitution. We respect that it's not perfect and that the courts can modify it as they see fit. That's a good thing. We need to stick with that. Let's not kill the guy next to us that wants the death penalty and he hits you in the face because you don't want it. Let the court decide. And let's just agree to listen to what the legal system says. But what happens? What happens is over all of this stuff, over the freedoms and the public sentiment, lies religious biases. Religious biases. Some people, certain religion think it's something's a sin. Well, other people don't have that religion, don't think it's a sin. So what do? We go to the courts. We let the courts decide. The courts need to consider religious bias. Very important. We can't ignore people that have spent their whole life believing one thing and then tell them, we're not going to listen to what you have to say. You have to listen to what they have to say. Consider it. We let the legal system decide. We don't burn their churches down or their synagogues or their mosques. We listen to what they have to say. Some people have race bias, as you well know. Some people think that certain races shouldn't have certain rights. That doesn't seem right. But some people feel that way. Some people don't like other races. We can't change that. There's a race bias, certainly, in the United States. So what do? We turn to the court system. We let the court system decide that you need to allow black children to go to colleges. Well, certainly you should do that. It took a court system to decide that. Gender bias. The man thinks the woman doesn't have the right to abort, and the woman thinks she does. That's a gender bias. What do we do with that? We take it to the court. We take it to the court. And we hope and pray that the court is smart enough and wise enough to weigh all these biases. Nationality bias. My goodness. You might come from a culture that believes in doing things to chickens or all kinds of things that other people don't think are right. That's okay. That's your culture, and you need to listen to what you have to say. It shouldn't shut you up or burn you down. No. So what do? We take it to the court. Let the court decide. If the court says, hey, they can do it, then they can do it. So we have all these freedoms and rights. against the belief systems and biases. And we let the federal court decide. We let the federal court decide. We don't burn the house down. We don't go into the Capitol building and destroy things and kill people. We don't march down a interstate highway causing wrecks and deaths and mayhem. We don't march into buildings and destroy the contents of the buildings or homes. We don't march into homes and kill people. We don't do that. That's not us. That's not America. America is governed by the Constitution versus the various sentiments of our people, and we look to the court system to tell us which is right. And whether we like it or not, we might not like it. Doesn't mean that we like it. It simply means that we go along with it for peaceful purposes. We need to love our neighbors. We need to, that person that has that different viewpoint or the different cultural bias or whatever, we need to think kindly of that person. We understand. We don't all like everything. No one does. But they're still citizens, and they're still our friends, our neighbors. We need to have love. My goodness, where has the love gone? Has the love left our country? I don't know. But I do know that maybe some of the younger folks think that the old Constitution is no good and that we need to do away with it. No, we don't. No, we don't. The freedoms in the United States of America are as good as we want them to be. Love your neighbor. Go ahead and protest. Go ahead and speak your mind. Love your neighbor. And listen to what he has to say. And then, worst case, listen to the court system when it tells you that you got to accept this. And then you accept it and you go on. God bless America.